Some words echo through time, not for their wisdom, but for the emotional charge they carry, like this harsh statement: "Women are creatures with long hair and short ideas." Today, such a phrase is rightly seen as cruel, outdated, and offensive. And yet, it was penned by Arthur Schopenhauer, one of philosophy's most pessimistic minds, a man celebrated for his intellect but infamous for his bleak outlook on life and relationships, before writing him off entirely as a misogynist, which, to some extent, he was. It's worth pausing to consider the deeper emotion behind his words. Beneath the bitterness lies something raw and human, something many men feel but rarely voice. Not out of hatred, but out of heartbreak. Schopenhauer's frustration wasn't rooted solely in a disdain for women. It stemmed from what love had done to him. He felt diminished, cast aside, and easily replaced. His rage concealed a more vulnerable truth, the quiet suffering many men endure when love turns to confusion and disappointment. This leads to uncomfortable but important questions men often carry in silence. Why does she always seem to want more? Why does she leave? Even when things felt genuine? Why does the next man always appear more desirable, wealthier, stronger, more self-assured? These aren't the questions of hate, they're the scars left by emotional wounds. Today, we're going to examine that discomfort closely, exploring the painful realities behind hypergamy, the psychological tendency where attraction leans toward higher status or perceived superiority. And with that, we'll also dive into the subtle resentment some men develop when love feels less like a connection and more like a race they didn't know they were part of. To truly grasp Arthur Schopenhauer's perspective on love and women, we need to first understand the foundation of his philosophy. He didn't believe that the world was guided by reason, divine order, or logic. Instead, he saw life as being driven by a blind, relentless force he called the will to live. This primal energy is present in all living things, from plants to animals to humans, and its main goal is simple: survival. This force fuels our desires, making us chase after things we think will fulfill us. But there's a catch. Every desire is rooted in lack. The moment we want something, we feel incomplete, and since the will is never truly satisfied, we're stuck in an endless cycle of craving and disappointment. When it comes to love, Schopenhauer viewed it not as a divine or spiritual bond, but as a biological illusion. He believed romantic attraction was simply the will at work, compelling us to reproduce and pass on our genes. Love, in his eyes, wasn't about happiness or emotional connection. It was nature's strategy to ensure the continuation of life. So when we think we're falling in love, it's not destiny or chemistry. It's biology pushing us toward reproduction. Now here's where his ideas become more unsettling. Schopenhauer argued that women don't choose partners based solely on feelings or moral character. Beneath conscious awareness, he believed their instincts were constantly evaluating potential mates for survival benefits. Can he protect me? Can he support a family? Will our children inherit strength, intelligence, or stability? This ancient instinct has a name: hypergamy, the tendency to be attracted to partners of equal or higher social, financial, or physical status. It's not manipulation or vanity. It's not about being shallow. It's evolutionary programming, forged in a time when survival was uncertain and choosing the wrong mate could mean risking not just love, but life. Long before modern conveniences, a woman's safety and well-being often depended on the strength and capabilities of her partner, so nature gave her an internal guide, a kind of radar. It's not always conscious or logical, but it's a powerful feeling that tells her, this man can lead, this man can provide, this man can keep me safe. And even in today's world, filled with equality, comfort, and independence, that radar is still active. It no longer looks for a warrior or a hunter, but it does look for signs. of drive, direction, purpose. It searches for the man who moves with clarity, who knows who he is and where he's going. But this leads to a hard truth, one that many men quietly endure. Sometimes, no matter how kind, devoted, or emotionally available you are, she might still choose someone else. You might be the one who listens, supports, and sacrifices, yet still she leaves. Not because you failed, but because on a subconscious level, her instincts were drawn to someone who signaled higher value, more confidence, greater social presence, or clearer ambition. And that's the sting of hypergamy. It's not about fairness or effort. It's about attraction shaped by thousands of years of survival. And while it may not seem romantic, it remains a powerful force that still affects relationships today. When a woman walks away from a genuinely good man to be with someone she perceives as better, the impact cuts deeper than simple rejection. It creates a quiet, internal fracture. All the love, time, and effort he invested suddenly feel meaningless, as if he were effortlessly replaced in a game he didn't even realize he was playing. And that's where the bitterness begins to take root. It's not that men harbor hatred toward women. The feeling is more complex. It's the sense of being cast aside, of being treated like a used item, traded in for a newer, shinier version. And that pain doesn't always present itself through tears or emotional outbursts. Sometimes it hides behind humor, sarcasm, or dismissive phrases like, "Nice guys always finish last," or "Love is a lie." But beneath those words lies a quiet, aching thought. I gave my all, and still, I wasn't enough. And when men express this pain, society often offers little comfort. They're told, just be kind, be respectful, be yourself. But what happens when you were all those things, and it still didn't matter? What if what she truly wanted wasn't kindness, but something else, something harder to define? Maybe it was presence, confidence, direction. Not someone nicer, but someone who embodied certainty and self-belief, traits her instincts gravitated toward. Arthur Schopenhauer understood this feeling more than most. He didn't study love from a distance. He wrote from personal suffering. His strained family ties, failed romantic pursuits, and recurring sense of emotional invisibility shaped his philosophy. His reflections weren't cold theories. They were the echoes of a man who had been deeply hurt, a man who felt abandoned. That's why his words still resonate. They reflect a deep, often unspoken male experience. But there's a risk in holding onto that pain. When it blends with harsh truths, it becomes corrosive. Left unresolved, it turns into resentment, not just toward others, but inward, eating away at your own self-worth. That's the real danger, not just in how you see women, but in how you see yourself. So what should be done with this truth? Don't deny it, don't bury it, face it, understand it, then rise above it. Because this truth isn't meant to lead you into anger or blame. It's meant to awaken you. In the end, attraction doesn't reward simply being good. It rewards growth, purpose, confidence. When you build those things from within, not to win someone's approval, but to fulfill your own potential, you stop chasing validation. You become the kind of person who commands respect and admiration naturally. And here's the paradox. That's when people begin to notice you. Not because you changed to be chosen, but because you became someone impossible to ignore on your own terms. But what happens when men keep these feelings locked away? Let's talk about the silent wound many carry, the kind that rarely gets acknowledged. It's the pain of showing up fully, giving everything you had, and still being told you're not enough. Maybe she left, or maybe she stayed, but made you feel invisible. This kind of heartbreak doesn't always show itself through breakdowns or anger. Sometimes it just settles in your chest and turns cold. And when men don't have space to express this pain, it doesn't vanish. It transforms into frustration, into quiet resentment, into anger without a clear outlet. And that anger looks for somewhere to land. Often, it finds its voice in anonymous online spaces, in harsh comments, viral complaints, or communities that feed off disillusionment. They echo sentiments like, "Love is fake," "Women only," "Care about money," or "Nice guys never win." But behind those words isn't hatred, it's hurt. And if left unhealed, that hurt creates a cycle that traps everyone inside it. In the beginning, these online spaces can feel like a lifeline. You hear voices that echo your pain. You finally feel understood. It's comforting, like you've found people who truly get what you're going through. But over time, what started as a place of support can slowly morph into something else. Instead of helping you heal, it becomes a loop of shared anger. Growth is replaced by blame. And while blaming others can feel powerful in the moment, it doesn't truly fix anything. It just traps you in the same emotional cycle. Here's the deeper truth. If you look beneath all that frustration and resentment, what you'll usually find isn't hatred, it's sorrow. It's the quiet heartbreak of a man who just wanted to be enough, someone who wanted real connection, to love and to be loved, deeply and sincerely. But instead he was left feeling overlooked, taken for granted, and eventually replaced. So now, what's the next move? Should he pretend none of it hurt? Should he shut down emotionally, grow distant, let the pain turn him bitter or numb? Or is there a better path? There is, and it's not what you might expect. The solution doesn't lie in chasing more relationships. It's not about learning tricks to win people over or pretending to be someone you're not. And it's certainly not about turning that pain into anger toward women. The real transformation begins when you stop seeking validation from others and start building it from within. When you become the kind of man who doesn't rely on being chosen to feel valuable. When your sense of worth is no longer tied to someone else's approval. You rise, not to prove anything to anyone else, but because you've decided that you matter, and that kind of self-respect, it's magnetic. When your life is rooted in purpose and clarity, you stop needing love to fill a void. Ironically, that's when the right people start showing up, not because you were chasing them, but because you've become whole within yourself. That sense of groundedness can't be faked, and it doesn't go unnoticed. But none of this is possible if you keep hiding your pain. If you bury it, it won't disappear. It will find other ways to express itself. Through your relationships, your decisions, your emotional health. That's why you must confront it. Speak it out loud, even if it's only to yourself at first. Acknowledge it. Then make a conscious choice to grow from it. Don't let pain turn to poison. Don't harden yourself just to survive. Choose something stronger. Choose to build. Silence isn't strength. Healing is. And healing doesn't begin with blaming others. It begins with asking yourself, what am I still holding on to? What story am I stuck in? Am I still trying to prove something to someone? Or am I finally ready to reclaim my worth and write a new chapter? Because once you stop living for acceptance and start living for your own growth, you become unstoppable. Let's be clear. Understanding hypergamy, this tendency for women to be drawn to men of higher status or stability, doesn't mean you need to resent it. You don't need to be bitter, angry, or act like someone you're not. It just means you've recognized a truth about human nature, and now you're choosing to respond to it with strength, not insecurity. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need to be rich overnight. You simply need to become powerful in your own life, not to impress anyone, but to be proud of who you are. That's the shift. It's not about chasing someone's love. It's about building a foundation within yourself that no one can take away. And it starts with a simple but powerful question. Am I trying to get someone to choose me, or am I working on becoming someone I'm proud to be? That shift in mindset changes everything. Your decisions, your goals, your energy. Most men spend their lives chasing validation, trying to be noticed, liked, or accepted. But what if you stopped all that? What if you made it your mission to outgrow who you were yesterday? What if every morning you asked yourself, where am I still holding back? Where am I letting fear or laziness win? And what can I do today to move forward? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about being real with yourself and using that honesty as fuel for growth, because at the end of the day, strength doesn't come from being chosen. It comes from choosing yourself again and again. When you begin the journey of building yourself from the inside out, when you stop searching for validation in the world around you and instead tap into your inner strength, you start to transform. Not all at once, but steadily, day by day. You evolve into a man driven by purpose, discipline, and a clear mission. You no longer rely on being picked by others because you've already made the most important choice. You've chosen yourself. Here's a truth most men never get told. Once you stop chasing recognition, you begin to carry a new kind of energy. A calm, grounded confidence, a quiet presence. And that's when people begin to take notice, friends, strangers, even women. Not because you begged for attention, tried to impress, or put on a performance, but because you exude something rare, inner power, unwavering direction, and self-trust that doesn't depend on external approval. That's when your world starts to change. You stop waiting for permission or validation. You no longer feel like you're falling behind. You realize you were always ahead. You just hadn't unlocked your potential yet. So what's the path forward? Don't fake it, don't collapse under pressure, and don't act for applause. Build. Build your body to feel strong. Build your mind to stay sharp. Build your skills to face any challenge. Build your life not to impress anyone else, but to evolve into your best self. Because when you're focused on growth, when every day is about improving who you were yesterday, you don't need approval to feel worthy. You already know what you bring to the table. And that kind of self-assurance doesn't chase anything, it naturally attracts. Let's be honest, rejection is a part of life. It's not just in relationships. It happens with careers, friendships, opportunities, and goals. Sometimes, the person you want won't choose you. Sometimes the one you gave your heart to will walk away. And yes, it will hurt. You're human, it's supposed to. But here's the difference. It won't break you anymore. It won't define your identity or destroy your spirit. Why? Because now you've built a foundation inside yourself that no loss can shake. You're not walking this path for anyone else. You've created structure, habits, discipline, things no one can take from you. So when someone leaves, you let them. Not with resentment or neediness, but with clarity and peace, because you've learned a truth that many men never realize. Your worth isn't determined by who stays. It's defined by what you've built, internally and externally. Some people will leave, some will overlook your value, some may take you for granted. That's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of theirs. Because your value never came from anyone else. It's been within you all along. Philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer warned that love, while beautiful, can also be a source of suffering, especially when entered into blindly. And in many ways, he was right. Without understanding, love can unravel you. But where he saw only pain, life offers a deeper answer. Pain doesn't have to destroy you. It can refine you. You can choose to turn that heartbreak into motivation. Let your rejection point you in a new direction. Let your solitude sharpen your focus. Let the silence around you become the source of your inner strength. So what now? Build. Develop your strength, not just to look the part, but to feel truly powerful from within. Train your body, not for show, but for resilience. Strengthen your mind, not for status, but for clarity. Let your past fuel your progress. Let what once wounded you now shape you into someone unshakable. Focus your mind, feed it with knowledge, learn deeply, think critically, and guard your time, because it's your most valuable asset. Stop spending it on distractions or people who don't contribute to your growth. Start carving your own path. Build a life that reflects your principles, your ambitions, and your unique sense of purpose. If love finds you along the way, welcome it, but don't let it define your world. Never base your self-worth on someone else's attention or affection. You are already whole. You don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to plead for connection. And you certainly don't need to break every time life doesn't go as planned. This moment marks a turning point. You're no longer the man who waits to be seen. You're the one who decides who you'll become. You're no longer the man who collapses when things fall apart. You rise, rebuild, and return stronger. You're no longer the man who hides behind silence. You transform your pain into purpose and your struggle into strength. So here's what I want to leave you with. Don't chase. Don't beg. Don't shrink to fit into places you've outgrown. Instead, grow, lead, elevate, because once you understand your value truly and fully, no rejection, no failure, and no heartbreak can ever convince you that you are anything less than enough.